Hello and welcome to the channel. Our video today is another grammar video, and it will be addressing one of the main tenses in the English language, and that's the present simple. So, last video we talked about the present continuous. Today we shall be digging deeper into another tense in English, and that's the present simple, as I said. And then in the upcoming video we shall be comparing and contrasting or juxtaposing the two tenses together, the present continuous and the present simple. But for today's video, the present simple is a tense that talks about things in general, which means it talks about things which are generally true, not necessarily scientific facts, but things which are true in general or true indefinitely, meaning that it will hold true until who knows when. So, some examples which exhibit or highlight the usage of the present simple are, we can say, for example, nurses look after patients in hospitals. That's something that holds true all the time. That's the nature of the job of nurses. I usually go away at weekends. This is something that I do regularly. It's a habit, or it's something that I do uniformly. I'm talking about my activity at the weekend or at weekends, and that's going away. So we can use the present simple for that as well. Another example that demonstrates the usage of the present simple is the earth goes round the sun. The earth goes round the sun. This is a scientific proven fact that will hold true for keeps. A last example to explain the usage, or one of the usages of the present simple, is the cafe opens at 7:30 in the morning. The cafe opens at 7:30 in the morning. We're talking here about something that holds true indefinitely. Maybe in the future the cafe changes its schedule, changes its timetable, changes its working hours or opening hours. But for the time being, and until who knows when, the cafe opens at 7:30 in the morning. Maybe in the future it becomes 6:30, 6, 8, 8:30, who knows? But we're not certain, we're not positive this is going to happen. So for now, that's the thing that's going to hold true indefinitely. We use the present simple for it, and we say the cafe opens at 7:30. Right, so these are the usages of the present simple, which to be summarized as follows. We use it to talk about things that are true in general, things that hold true indefinitely, facts, scientific facts for instance, and things that we do regularly, like habits and things that we do uniformly. Right. That's with regard to the usage of the tense. But how about the form or the structure? Like, what should I do to conjugate the verb in the present simple? What you need to do is look at the subject in the sentence. If it's he or she or it or any noun that's equivalent to these pronouns, we add s or es or ies to the verb. But if the subject is any of the other pronouns, like I, we, you, and they, or any noun equivalent to them, then we use the bare infinitive of the verb. What do I mean by the bare infinitive of the verb? It's simply the verb in its infinitive form, in its normal form, without any additions to it. Right, so we said that if the subject is he or she or it, these pronouns or any noun that's equivalent to them, we add s or es or ies to the verb. The question is, when should we add s, when should we add es, and when should we add ies? Right. If your verb ends with the letter y, and the letter preceding it, which is the letter right before it in the verb, is a consonant, meaning that it's not a vowel, it's not one of the vowels, a, e, I, o, and u. If you want to conjugate that verb in the present simple with he and she and it, what you do is that you take out or you remove the y at the end of the verb and you add ies. Some examples of that are study, carry, study and carry. So these two verbs, as you can see, end in y preceded by consonants. D in study, R in carry. So to make it carries, or to make him carries and studies, what you do is that you remove the y at the end and you replace it with ies. So you have studies spelled studies, and you have carries spelled carries. But if your verb ends with a y preceded by a vowel like enjoy, like stay, in this case, if you want to conjugate the verb in the present simple, you keep the y as it is and you add just an s. So you say she enjoys. Enjoys is spelled enjoys. You say he stays. Stays spelled stays. Right, when do we add es to the verb? That's if the verb ends in one of the following endings. If it ends in ss, sh, ch, x, or o. Let's have some examples. A verb like wash that ends in sh. So we add es to it, it becomes washes. Catch is a verb that ends in ch. So we add es to it, it becomes catches. Go is a verb that ends in an o. We add es to it, it becomes goes. Pass is a verb that ends in double s. So we add es to it and it becomes passes. Right. All of what we have said so far is applicable in affirmative sentences. Affirmative sentences are positive sentences which are neither negative nor interrogative. They are not negative and they are not questions. But if your sentence is negative, or if it's a question and you want to put the verb or conjugate the verb in the present simple, you have to use a couple of auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. These are do and does. So if your subject is he and she and it, we must use the auxiliary verb or the helping verb does in negative and question, in negatives and questions. And if your subject is I, we, you, or they, we put the auxiliary do. So do with I, we, you, and they. If the sentence is negative, we use doesn't, which is does not, or don't, which is do not. And in both cases, I'm talking here about negative sentences or questions. Whether we're using does or do, you must follow them with the infinitive of the verb or the bare infinitive of the verb. For example, we say, I don't go away very often. I don't go, that's a negative sentence, so we must use don't in it or doesn't. We use don't because the subject is I. If it were he or she or it, it becomes doesn't. So we say, she doesn't go away very often. Another example is, what does this word mean? What does this word mean? The subject here is this word, which is equivalent to the pronoun it. So we must use the auxiliary verb does because it's an interrogation or a question or an interrogative sentence. And then we follow it with the bare infinitive of the verb, and that's mean. Another example is rice doesn't grow in cold climates. Rice doesn't grow in cold climates. The subject here is rice, and the sentence is negative. So we must use an auxiliary verb because rice is a noun that's equivalent to the pronoun it. We must use the auxiliary verb or the helping verb doesn't or does not, and we follow it with the bare infinitive of the verb, which is grow. If the sentence were positive or affirmative, and because the subject is rice, which is equivalent to it, we must add s or es or ies to the verb. In this sentence, the verb is grow. So it's not the case of IES and it's not the case of ES. We add S only to it. So we would say rice grows in hot climates, or rice grows in warm climates, right? So let's wrap up, or let's say again or summarize what we have covered in this video regarding the tense, the present simple. With respect to its form or its structure, it consists of the subject followed by the verb, either in the form of the bare infinitive, if the subject is I, we, you, or they. If the subject is he or she or it, we add to the verb S or ES or IES. That's in case of affirmative sentences. If the sentence is negative, we use doesn't and don't. Does goes with he and she and it. Do goes with I, we, you, and they. And in both cases, whether it's an whether it's an interrogative sentence or a negative sentence, we follow don't, doesn't, do, and does with the bare infinitive of the verb. And when should we use the present simple? What are the situations or the contexts suitable or appropriate for the tense? We use it to talk about scientific facts, things which hold true indefinitely, or things which are true in general, and finally, habits or things that we do regularly or steadily. That was a briefing of the present simple and how we use it and what should we do, or what we should do in order to put the verb or conjugate the verb in the present simple. In the upcoming video, the next video, we will be talking about a comparison, a juxtaposition. We will be comparing and contrasting the two tenses that we have covered as yet in this playlist or in this series about English tenses. We will be comparing and contrasting the present continuous, also called the present progressive, against the present simple, which we have covered today. I hope the video was useful and informative to you, and I thank you very much for your attentive listening and look forward to seeing you in our next video. Have a great day.